What's happening, guys? Welcome to Slip the Jab Boxing. Hit the like, hit the subscribe button. Let's get into it. Right. So it looks like AJ Wilder won't be happening next, unfortunately. Maybe it happens after that. Let's keep our fingers crossed. So I think we can all agree that AJ's performances against Hellenius and against Franklin means that he wasn't really ready for Deontay Wilder anyway. So with that said, I'm sure everyone, including myself, would prefer the best AJ fight the best Wilder. So it's about getting AJ back to being his best. From what I can see, he needs some knockouts. He needs some easy, early knockouts. He does have some technical things to work on, but I believe that his issues are mental more than anything else. That's the biggest issue he has right now. After the Hellenius win, he looked so happy. He got out of the ring, he walked around, he was celebrating, drinks with McGregor, high-five this person, high-five that person, high-five the sheep, everything. And it didn't appear that he was so happy because he won the fight. It was more the devastating knockout. He took his joy, his happiness, his relief from the fact that he scored a big knockout. When he fought and beat Franklin, at the end of that fight, he almost looked a bit frustrated. You know, he got into that handbags with Franklin. No one really knew what that was about. But there wasn't the same happiness. There wasn't the same sense of excitement or jubilation from AJ. And I can only imagine that it's because of the knockouts. That's what makes him feel strong, powerful, and ready to go. So moving forward, before the Deontay Wilder fight or a big step up against Fury maybe, I think that he should be focusing more on getting some knockouts, some more devastating ones, so that he can look good, feel strong, feel powerful, and get his confidence back. The problem with that is there are a lot of expectations on AJ. It's always expected for him to fight probably a top 10 opponent. And also, he hasn't helped himself by saying all year, it's going to be Wilder, it's going to be Wilder, it's going to be Wilder. He even... Obviously, everybody remembers the tweet he put out saying, you know, he wouldn't be fighting until the end of the year because something big was happening. And now it looks like that's not happening. So that's not going to help his situation in terms of picking a fighter which is best for his career. Or an opponent, I should say. I think if he didn't do so much talking about wanting to fight Wilder this year or that fight happening next, and obviously Eddie Hearn doing the same thing, then there'd be a little bit more understanding towards him still rebuilding and taking on lesser opponents. So with that said, I've thought of 6 opponents which he could choose from next. I've put them into 2 categories. I've got the career opponents, which are the opponents which I think he should be fighting to get the knockouts, to look good, to feel good, and get himself back mentally. Then I've got the money opponents, the opponents which... there would be more public demand for, and that would bring him a lot more money, because that's also another thing. I'm not exactly sure he wants to take the pay cuts necessary in order to fight these opponents and get the knockouts and get the confidence back. That's also a thing. So he's also holding himself back there. But I guess that ultimately doesn't matter if his focus is just getting a big fight and then just calling it a day after that. I don't know. He may still want to go for the title, or he may just want one more big fight and call it a day. But let's assume he's going for the title and he cares about his career. And here's the opponents for him to get easy knockouts, but the opponents still are passable. The first one is Adam Kownacki. Adam Kownacki is somewhat of a name. People know him. The only thing is he got demolished by Robert Hellenius twice. So with that said, it's not going to be the easiest thing to sell to the fans. But when AJ fights, people turn up. When the Franklin fight was happening on the lead up, it wasn't sold out, but then just before the event, it managed to sell out. So I imagine something similar would happen. Next opponent would be Nathan Gorman, and then the opponent after that would be Manuel Charr. Now, all 3 of these opponents aren't really the opponents you expect AJ to be taking on. However, these are the types of opponents he needs in order to, I guess, feel good. If he can get those knockouts against these people, which I believe he would, I don't see anybody here being too difficult for him, then it can only aid in him gaining his mental power back. And I guess with Charr specifically, he can kind of hide behind, WBA regular, title shot. You know, he can go down that road. And I think ultimately fans would judge AJ now, but if he was to take those fights, win, and then move on to a Wilder and win, in the long run, it would work out for him. However, I don't see him going down that road. I believe that he's probably going to move into opponents which he probably shouldn't be fighting right now. But let's see. So the money opponents I have are Hrgovic, who hasn't exactly looked good in his last recent performances. However, he's mandatory right now. He's a bit of a name. And so it would be something that the fans would be happy to see from AJ. So AJ Hrgovic, AJ versus Daniel Dubois. Now, this fight would be really interesting because Dubois is obviously coming off of a loss. He is known to be quite mentally fragile, the same way AJ is at the moment. So who knows what could happen with that fight. Everybody knows Daniel Dubois. He's had a title shot against Usyk just recently. So I do believe it would be a fight which would bring him commercial success, money. However, I'm not exactly sure if he'd be able to deal with Daniel Dubois to the extent that he needs to look good. That's the only issue. Anthony Joshua seems to be afraid to be hit at the moment, and Daniel Dubois can hit. Another opponent would be Joe Joyce. Joe Joyce is still a live opponent. Just because he lost to Zhang doesn't mean he's rubbish. He's still really good. He's still well known to the British public. He's strong, he's durable. Him and AJ have had a little bit of a beef before, just a little bit of back and forth on social media. So I'm sure it's something the British fans would love to see. However, once again, because of his durability, I'm sure he'd give AJ a lot of trouble. And it wouldn't make AJ look good. And then the issue with that is AJ going to move in the right direction mentally if he's struggling and getting points victories? I don't think so. And Hrgovic and Joe Joyce, that's definitely two opponents I could probably see it going the distance, and AJ not looking too good against. Probably could look good against Daniel Dubois, however, he would have to take quite a lot of shots, and AJ just doesn't seem to be able to do that right now. He just seems terrified. And just as a bonus opponent, I put down Zhilei Zhang. Zhilei Zhang's the talk of the town right now. He could have a big fight with him in China. That would definitely bring a lot of money. However, I think AJ should steer well clear of Zhilei Zhang right now. I do not think AJ needs that kind of trouble. But yeah, so those are some opponents I think AJ can go for next. I do think he should go for Kalnaki, Gorman or Char, probably keep it in that lane. Look good in his next fight and then see what happens next. I want to see AJ come back. I want to see how well he can come back, how strong he can be. And if he's to fight Fury or Wilder, I want him to be the best AJ he can be so that we can see the best possible competition within the fight. But guys, let me know what you think. Do you think AJ should come back? Who do you think his opponent should be? Do you agree with what I've said here? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments. Guys, take it easy.